Today on the show, we have Daniel DeCapua, otherwise known as the funny agent from the Spotlight home team in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Let me tell you a little bit about Dan. Dan's goal has always been to get a standing ovation from both his audience and his clients. Before his successful career in real estate, he toured as a stand-up comedian, performing on cruise ships, in colleges, and comedy clubs all over the country, including Zanies here in Chicago. I've probably seen Dan. We were just talking beforehand about a show that he likely was on many, many years ago with Mitch Hedberg. Dan is the owner of the Spotlight home team in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which last year sold 287 homes and has over 400 positive reviews on Zillow. Find Dan on his website, thefunnyagent.com. And for everyone listening, go there because you can download his ebook, which is called Laugh Your Way to Six Figures, which is, if you scroll to the bottom of his page, sign up for his ebook there. It'll come right to you. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, DJ. Love the show. Love coming to Chicago. Miss you guys. Would love to be able to come again and when we could travel, and miss Zany's Comedy Club. Love it up there on Wall Street. So great to be here.
Yeah, we're really lucky here in Chicago. We have just an old, true Chicago comedy club, Zany's. It is. There aren't as many of those left anymore. And it's this little tiny room. It's just a perfect comedy club, and it's probably our crown jewel of comedy clubs in Chicago. So you've been there, I guess, many times.
If you want to take a time travel back to the 80s, definitely go over there and get that feel. We were talking about Mitch Hedberg, just a great comedian, worked there with him, and just classic lines if you don't know him. And I'm sad that my millennial generation doesn't really know Mitch and his famous this jacket is dry clean only, which means it's dirty. I just love that.
Which is such a brilliant, it's funny too, because guys who can do those types of one-line jokes, Stephen Wright obviously kind of paved the way in the 80s. And then Mitch sort of really even took it to another level. And he was able to do those one-line jokes and appeal to younger people, where Stephen Wright was really an older person's comic by that point. Right. And Mitch took it. I don't know if anyone's sort of taken that throne yet from Mitch. But yeah, if anyone's listening, before we get into our real conversation about Dan and how awesome he is, definitely check out some old Mitch Hedberg stuff. My boss, his favorite comic is Mitch Hedberg, and Dan got a chance to work with him. I mean, this guy was an absolute legend, one of the very best that ever graced the stage. But Dan, we're here to talk about you, of course. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in real estate, and maybe why the switch or how you switched from comedy over to real estate.
Oh, yeah. Great question. So doing comedy on the road, not as glamorous as it might seem. So real estate was always something like a lot of listeners, a lot of real estate agents, something that's in the back of your mind. You love to help people, service, you can make your own schedule. And all those things were always in the back of my mind. Plus, at the time I stopped and switched over to real estate, I had a baby. And, babies, they don't have the same appreciation for nightlife that we do. So, right. And one of my last shows I remember doing, Dave Chappelle is huge right now, right? Sure. Everybody's listening to, love Dave. So I went into a comedy club that's close to his hometown. I'm supposed to do a whole week there.
Is that out in rural Ohio?
Out in rural Ohio, comedy club in Dayton. I show up. Dave Chappelle had just been there a couple of days before. The place was upside down, like New Year's Eve happened the night before. Sure. So I show up there, and the staff had been fired. And the manager comes in. He's like, everybody's gone. I fired everybody. And people were stealing money and doing that. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm here to do comedy on a Wednesday night after Dave Chappelle. I'm like, this is not happening.
Easy person to follow.
Oh yeah, easy person. This place is going to be packed. But I mean, the comedy club was just a riot had occurred. And usually they give you a little bit of money at the beginning of the week. And the guy was like, well, I don't really have any money, but I can pay you. And you want a box of quesadillas? And I'm like, I got a baby at home. I got a box of quesadillas. He's like, okay. I go back to the condo after just a terrible show. Like 6 people showed up, and they were 7th floor replacing the windows in the condo in February. And it was just saran wrap around there. I was like, oh, this is the last week with my box of quesadillas, I'm going home to
Yeah,
quit
that's a really
comedy.
depressing
That's,
sort of scenario.
I know, right?
For everyone listening, when Dan says condo, what a lot of comedy clubs have are they own or rent these condos, and
Yeah.
it's just cheaper for them to do that when comedians come through town instead of putting them up in a hotel. So lots of these comedy clubs have these condos, and from what I understand, I've never been a comedian, but I
Uh,
understand some of these condos are just disgusting.
oh my God. You're sleeping in the bed and you look, who is here the week before? Pauly Shore. Great. And now I'm sleeping in Pauly Shore's bed. So yeah, I mean, it was depressing. There's a lot of parts of it fun, a lot of parts I take, and I love to teach realtors about the marketing I took from there, the
Sure.
branding, because we're coming from this industry. What is the failure rate in real estate? 94, 95%.
Yeah.
So stand-up comedy, it's 99.999%. So I
Sure.
figured, I'm really improving with coming to real estate. But of course, we learned all these lessons from failing and so much from stand-up comedy that I took. Just like I know you had an MMA fighter on, you've had
Yeah.
teachers on. Teachers
Sure.
make great agents. And it's all about what we pull from our past. The most successful agents came from other industries where we could say, who's measuring failure, but maybe you failed in that industry, but you always will take something with you to real estate to break through because it makes you stronger. And really, for me, I mean, it's just been amazing what comedy's done.
Well, and what people who watch and appreciate, stand-up comedy probably don't
Mhm.
understand because they've never done it, and I've never done it
Mhm.
either. But I've been a fan of it long enough to understand that in order to create an act that has a pretty reasonable sort of applause and laughter, like you're going to work for years and years and years. It's not
Yeah.
something that you usually can crank out within the first few years.
Mhm.
So you're used to putting a tremendous
Mhm.
amount of time in just to even
Yeah.
build your comedy career. I imagine you have a lot of patience when it comes to building your real estate business as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. 9 out of 10 jokes you're going to write are going to fail. You're going to sit there. I tried to bring guitar playing into my act. I remember that I was so nervous to do it. Finally, I just strapped a guitar to my back, got on stage. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I went for 45 minutes with a guitar strapped to my back. I was too nervous to pull it out. And I just walked off the stage, and people were like, this guy's sitting up there. But what I did learn is, and what's great for now in real estate, is that the most successful comedians are people that are bringing their audience. They're showing up to see that comedian,
Yeah.
right? So if you go, like when I was opening for Dane Cook, then DJ'd come up and be like, okay, everybody ready for Dane Cook? And 5,000 drunk college students, yeah, we're ready for Dane Cook. Yeah. But first, here's Dan DeCapua. Boo! Boo! Throwing, so if we can create our audience as agents with people that we want to interact with our passion, you're going to be successful, right? If you show up to see Dave Chappelle and Gallagher's there, that's not the audience, right, that you're looking for. You're just gonna be sad and, covered in fruit or whatever. So if we can create our audience, bring the people that we like with our passion, you're going to be so successful in this business. And there's ways to do it. So.
Yeah, and one of the ways that comedians do it these days in the past
Mhm.
10 years has been to create a podcast. So what Dan's mentioning
Mhm.
is and Dane Cook really paved the way for creating an audience outside of his stand-up, where he
Yeah.
had from a branding perspective, really nobody had done what he had done. He was right when social media and instant messaging was starting to really hit. He created this
Yeah.
massive community, and then he would go on tours and sell out arenas because he
Yeah.
would be able to, they wouldn't have to promote. He would just say to his audience, here's where I'm coming. And now comedians can do that through podcasts and other ways. And,
Mhm.
and agents can really learn to build a brand the same way.
Yeah, and they've paved their own way for it. Dane Cook was huge in MySpace, right? So that
Oh,
was his thing.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I remember Dane Cook got paid. We got paid together. He got a check for $50,000 for one show, and I got a check for $500. And I was like, oh man, well, 500 was a lot to me at the time, but
Sure.
Dane Cook, those are his people. He's showing up. That's where I want to be. So you got to go out there, and everybody has a different avenue, a different path to get there. I'm not necessarily huge on social media. I do social media, but from the beginning, I sent out funny postcards and different kind of business cards and ways to bring humor to couple into my business so that it'll always stay fun for me.
And also, we do the same thing. So I'm on the recruiting side of real estate. I don't practice directly
Mhm.
myself, but we've added humor into our recruiting website. When we looked around at all of the other recruiting websites, nobody had put any humor into any of it at all. It was
Right.
join our company. Here's all the stuff we offer, and that was kind of it. And so for everyone listening who's a realtor, if you are a naturally funny person or somebody who really
Mhm.
appreciates comedy, you can bring that into your business as well. And you can do
Mhm.
it in an authentic way that's not cheesy or that goes against sort of what you're comfortable with. And really, there's not that many people being funny in real estate. And so
Right.
it's not like this is something that, every other realtor who's successful in
Mhm.
town is doing. And Dan, you've done that, and you've been
Yeah.
able to bring that to your audience. And at the same time, of course, providing incredible service and support to your clients.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's what makes agents afraid it's going to cut into my luxury brand. Are people going
Sure.
to take me seriously? But you look on the outside, it's not just about I mean, insurance companies use humor all the time, right? And there's nothing
Of
more
course.
boring than insurance. So you
Yeah.
can't be afraid to do that. But it's going to make you a better leader. It's going to make people listen to you. I wrote a blog about how you can have difficult conversations by adding humor into them. And there's just so much that humor will bring to your relationships, to your marketing, to your branding. Bring it in there. And if you tie into your passion, if it's cooking or bike riding or surfing or whatever you want to do, you tie your passion into real estate. You carve that path for yourself. You're going to get up every day and love it because there's no right direction to go or wrong direction to go. You can listen to all the coaches out there, but if you carve your own path with your passion, you're going to stay engaged.
Yeah, I was in Laguna Beach 3 or 4 weeks ago on a vacation, and the surfing community is just massive there. It
Yeah.
must just be perfect conditions for surfing, and they have like the national surfing teams. And I noticed as I was driving around town, there was one realtor who is like the surfing realtor, and it wasn't even a cheesy sort of thing. He was like, "This is my passion. This
Mhm.
is what I'm into." And I thought, boy, that's kind of a goof. I'm in Chicago where we don't have any surfing, of course, and I thought, oh,
Yeah.
that seems cheesy. And then when I saw the sheer number of people who were locals who were into surfing, which is gosh, thousands of people, I
Yeah.
realized, oh, okay, so he's using his passion. He's not afraid to talk
Mhm.
about it, and he probably
Yeah.
attracts a lot of surfers who, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's my guess. And I
Yeah.
thought, what a smart idea. He's already
Mhm.
passionate about something. He's part of that
Yeah.
community, and he's not afraid to
Mhm.
talk about it.
Right. And that's so great. Surfing, if you're into tattoos, do not be ashamed of it. Tie it into
Right.
your business, right? It's just like the open mic I'm talking about versus open mic and creating your own audience. You have to start with people and people who are passionate about, what they do. So if you show up, like I'll show up at a conference and everybody gives away their business cards, right? So I always create a funny business card. Like I have Remax Deep Space is what one I'll give away, or I'll give away one with like my baby picture on it or a
Yeah, that's
glamour
great.
shot. And yeah, real estate, taxidermy, I do that. So I cover that in my ebook. But that's something memorable, something people will also tie into. Your clients will tie into it, and for me, my team really ties into the humor, and they love it. That when they come into here, if we have to have a difficult conversation, they know that I'm always coming from a place that's true. I might be a little bit funny, but I'm not going to come hard on them. So it's easier for us to have that conversation together if you just bring humor into your personal life too.
Yeah, I have a question, and this just sort of
Yeah.
occurred to me. I'm curious to get your opinion on it. So I
Mhm.
have never done any improv comedy here in Chicago. We have Second
Yeah.
City, which an improv Olympics, and we we're sort of known for improv comedy in Chicago.
Mhm.
However, listeners we have from all over the country, and there are improv classes anywhere. And you might be thinking, well, why would I want to take an improv class if I'm not looking to go into comedy? And I know a lot of people
Yeah.
that have done this. And I said, why do you
Mhm.
do that? And I said, are you trying to break into comedy? And most of the times they say no. But what they do say is it's such a great communication skill building tool that even though yes, maybe I'm not always going to be cracking jokes, I now know, if I'm in an open house, I'm no longer nervous about somebody
Yeah.
walking in, and I know how to talk to people on the fly. And I was just curious
Yeah.
if you had any thoughts about, improv classes you can take. Probably just about any,
Yeah.
reasonably sized city has them.
DJ, that's a phenomenal idea. Hire an improv coach to come into your office, to your team. And what it does is it makes you think on your feet. I do not like scripting. I don't like cold calling. I've gone away from those, forged my own path. Because if you can improvise, if you can talk, you're going to feel real to your client when you're
Yeah.
speaking with them. But also the biggest thing is, and you'll know this from doing the improv classes, it forces you to listen. You
Yes.
have to listen to your client. You aren't going to come out as a new agent. You want to spew all your information about this house, about the disclosures, about the bylaws, blah, 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 blah. All you are doing is creating a wall between you and your client. With the improv, it helps you listen. What's the next line? I'm going to tag it. So it makes you such a better listener. You'll open up to your clients and you'll feel more real. I think doing an improv class is a great idea, a great team building.
Yeah. So tell us about Spotlight Home Team. This is your
Yeah.
company. So tell us about it.
Well, it's my company, and we service Ann Arbor, Metro Detroit. It's fun. I have 6 buyers agents, 2 admins. We're very diverse in who we serve. We have a very diverse community. Customer service is really what we're all about. Not everybody on my team is a comedian. I'm the team leader, but I have strong agents. A lot of them come from different backgrounds, just like myself. I've got a guy who um, was selling used cars, a guy who's working at the Apple store. Some people did things I can't talk about, but they come from different backgrounds, and taking that background with you and bring it into your business, you have an appreciation for customer service, you have an appreciation for real estate, you have a level head on your shoulders. So Spotlight Home Team, we're great. We work with clients, anywhere from $50,000 to 1.4 million. Average sales price in Ann Arbor is around 350,000, but we find people grant programs. Our service providers are great. So we're just out there. If you provide great customer service, right, which is all our goal in real estate, the clients are going to find you. Word of mouth is going to be out there. And then our marketing takes a humorous tone, and we get a lot of calls from that too.
I have a question. So, when was it
Yeah.
in your real estate career that you decided it was time to build a team? What was
Mhm.
the impetus for that for you?
Yeah, well, I knew I had quite a few leads. So thinking, all right, I'm going to go to the office manager, find somebody. My first buyer's agent, I talked to the broker. He said, I got a couple of people that are thinking about getting out of the business. They're just not making money. So I'm like,
Sure.
okay, that's what I need to do. And I think that the team model is great for new agents coming into, it's great for new agents coming into the business. It's good for agents that know how to write contracts and serve people, but maybe they can't generate the leads. Let's
Sure.
face it, teams are mini brokerages now, right?
Right.
So I try to get in front of the broker and say, hey, if you know somebody new who's coming into the business, you see some potential, I want them to come to me first because they're going to last in this business. So I feel a lot of people need to, if you're new in the business, need to start get on a team, train. And if my people leave after 2 years, that's okay with me too. At least I can
Sure.
train them. They've brought value to the team, and I can learn from them as well. But when you have too many leads, you're ready to go. The first person you need to add, though, right after that buyer's agent, everybody needs an administrator, somebody to set up the systems for you. So doing disc testing, finding an administrator, do 30, 40 interviews to find somebody, or share administrator, transaction coordinator, whatever you call it in your market. They're going to help you build that team too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the team
Mhm,
model is just it's obviously so popular these days. And but
mhm,
Dan just said something very important. He said it from a team leader perspective, and I want to reverse it for
mhm.
team members. And he said, you want to interview, if you're the team leader, you want to interview a lot of people before you make a decision. And really the same goes for an agent. If you're looking to build a team, or sorry, join a team, then you're going to want to interview with a number of different teams to really make sure you get the
Mhm.
right fit. And obviously, depending on the size of your market and the size of how many agents there are, might dictate how many of those interviews you can do. But boy, really try.
Mhm.
I know when people reach out to us to join our firm, they're of course reaching out to 3 or 4 other firms, as they should,
Mhm.
to figure out what's the best fit for them. And you should be doing the same thing. Just because somebody's in your office and has a team that might be a great fit for you, it might not. And so, as Dan was
Yeah.
saying, please interview out with a number of different teams, because if you get in the wrong team, or a team that isn't really best suited for your skill set, or they're not able to meet your needs, it's going to be uncomfortable and it's not really going to help your business progress. But once you find that right team, boy, everything can really explode from there.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. You share the same values. We ask our clients to go out there. Our clients are interviewing 3 or 4 people, as a buyer's agent, as a seller's agent. Don't just go to one place. Find what fits for you too. And I encourage that people that interview, is this the right atmosphere does this fit your style here? Because it might not be for you.
Yeah, I want to switch gears. I have a question for
Yeah.
you about Dan and I, prior to starting, I was mentioning to Dan that here in Chicago, our mayor, just a few minutes before us going on this show, had instituted, an alert, not an actual stay-at-home order, but really is suggesting to everyone here in the Chicagoland area to only go to work if you're what's called an essential worker, where she's discouraging people from basically saying, please do not celebrate traditional Thanksgiving with friends and family. So we're starting to head down an unfortunate path, but understandable path of possibly going back into a full lockdown, which of course we hope doesn't happen, but might be inevitable. And I'm just curious, Dan, since you and I have already been through one lockdown, everyone listening on the show has, and we may be headed there again. Do you have any suggestions for our audience for what maybe they could do now, or what they could do during a lockdown to keep their business rolling despite having these limitations?
Oh, I love this question because I made so much money coming out of the last lockdown with a few
Sure.
things that I did that I want to pass on. Number one thing
Yeah.
is we got locked down in the spring here. So those seed packets that you can order that are branded, right?
Sure.
So I said, well, everybody's going to be at home. We're going to get the seeds. We're going to get it. And so I mailed seeds in a handwritten note to each one of my clients in my immediate sphere, which was about 300 people. I said, I
Wow.
hope you're doing okay. Please check in with me if you need anything at all. I'm here to help. Here's a seed packet. Plant it with your kids. Plant it out there. So many people planted these seeds. They were outside with their kids. They took pictures. They sent it back to me. We partnered with Peace Neighborhood Center, which is a local charity here too. Went out there and we did a GoFundMe to raise utility bills for people that couldn't afford to pay their utility bills. So we did that as a team. But one thing that I do, the seeds I just did this year because it was an impromptu thing, is I
Sure.
always, whenever I see a client has a baby, I keep a stack of these little
Oh, I love that.
blankies they're in my office, and my son had this ever since he was a kid. And we used to take Blanky's all tattered, now the one that he has, but we would take Blanky and we have pictures of Blanky all over the world. So I would, whenever one of my clients has a baby, I send him a Blanky with a little funny story about how my son, this is what he got when he was a baby. And here's all the places that Blanky has been to: Paris on the floor of the mall, lost in an elevator, places like that. So I do that. And then I also took the time to go through, we have Nextdoor. I don't know if you guys use Nextdoor or Yelp or
Sure.
whatever for contractors, compiled a contractor list because a lot of people are working at home, right? When contractors can come out and work. So I send out a list of recommended contractors in magnet form that people can stick on there. Of course, I'm the recommended realtor on here, right? So send that out, and people are so appreciative of this, and they'll stick it in a drawer, and they might call you 6 or 7 months later. But I say, here's my handyman. Give me a call before you call any of these contractors, so I can get you to the front of the line. I can get your estimate out there. And it's just a way for them to come here. I don't cold call my clients. I feel like, that's not my strong point, but I'm always in touch with them, providing value, providing something really personal to them. And if you set that on your calendar and you do the seeds every year, you do the blankies, I have a little book for when people's pets die because they're on there doing that. Set
Yeah.
that out. They're thinking of you. I send out joke books too to kids that are out there and the right age. So there's all these little things you can do. You can't do them unless you have a database, and it's really easy. Go your 100 closest people, even if you're brand new to the industry, set up your database, 100 people. That's your open mic crew. They're going to love you. They're going to call you. You're going to set it up. They're going to refer you to your friends, especially if you can say, hey, I'm on this high producing team. I have people looking over me. Those are your people. That's your fan base. They're going to always be there. It's really easy to set this up. Just take the work to do it.
Yeah, and for everyone listening who thinks, well, gosh, how will I know when one of my clients'
Hmm.
pets passes away? Well, a lot
Yeah.
of times people post that stuff on social media. So you can,
Hmm.
if you're a realtor and you think, I like to keep my private life private, I'm not really somebody that is really active on social media. That's okay
Hmm.
because you can
Yeah.
still use social media as research and development for what's going on with your sphere of influence. So unless
Hmm.
you have such a great relationship with your clients, they're going to call you with these big life events. Typically they're going to talk about it online. And so
Hmm.
that's a great place to find out what's going on. LinkedIn does a really neat job of telling every day, if you log in, that it shows who's celebrating work anniversaries, who's got a new job.
Hmm.
Those are things that people should be checking every day just to give it a reason to pick up the phone or to drop a little handwritten note in the mail or a
Yeah.
little gift congratulating somebody, or in the case of obviously a more of a tragic event, to offer condolences. So it's a
Yeah.
great opportunity to utilize social media just to know what's going on and provide
Hmm.
support or cheerleading.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, snail mail is back. People are looking at it. They're looking for something to do. They're getting a break from new math or whatever they're teaching their kids,
Yeah.
virtual math, just walking out to the mailbox. And so you can provide value just sending out postcards. I send out these tiny little postcards right here too. And I can tell you, it's about 45 cents with stamps and printing and everything that you can send to your sphere. You can change up your just listed, just sold campaigns, make them fun, and you can do it on a budget. I don't hire anybody to do it. I do this in-house, 8.5 by 11. My staff cuts up these postcards and send them out, and the ROI is huge, and it's really easy to do.
Yeah, you really only need one person to respond.
Yeah,
Maybe even if you're doing it monthly, maybe you only need one person to respond per year for it to pay
yeah,
for itself. And you're going to
yeah.
probably get a lot more than that. The key, I'm sure, is consistency. If you just send out one
Mm-hmm.
one mailer, one postcard campaign, you might not see
Mm-hmm.
those results. But if you commit to doing it once a month, or
Mm-hmm.
even more often than that, you're going to start to see results. And Dan knows as well as anyone that branding, it requires a lot of consistency.
Yeah, so much consistency. And don't forget about postcards to your sphere too. Just a real easy touch to go there too. If you
Yeah.
connect with a contractor, a new landscaper in the area, they'll probably even pay for it. But say, hey, here's a discount if you give this person a call. You have to start, well, the farming, start on your street, start with your sphere, pick the area. And I calculated it. It's $4.50 for me to send out 6 postcards a year to a person. $4.50. I touch them 6 times. It's crazy, right? You
Yeah.
you can't get that anywhere else. So
Yeah, and also, we it's something easy to sort of forget, but everyone looks at a postcard before they throw it away.
yeah,
People don't
right.
always open the mail, but they will always
Yeah,
look at the front and back of a postcard. And yes,
yeah,
of course, 99% of people are going to discard it in the trash, and that is not the point. It is okay
right.
for them to do that, but they're going to see your name before they're going to, oh, okay, that was nice, or I now have thought about Dan once again, and
Yeah,
that's a good thing for consistency.
yeah,
And Dan, I've got to, I never get to these stories. We always ask
yeah,
to pull back the curtain just a bit on our process. We always ask for some funny stories. It happens to
yeah.
be, of course, Dan's a comedian, so no pressure here to be
No.
funny. But Dan happened to share a story with our casting director about, and it was a story that was just so incredibly interesting to me that I really would love you to share about the time you were chased down the street by a homeowner.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's fun. I don't know if my real estate stories are more interesting or if my comedy, because I can go back and, comedy stories are great, but in real estate, so many interesting things happened to us. So I had met a buyer for the first time and he was an investor. And we got up to the house and the key wouldn't work. I was like, oh my gosh, this key's not working. He's like, don't worry, Dan, I own 12 rental properties. I'll get it. He puts the key in, it's like magic. The door opens. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so we're here, but when you're in a house and things just they don't feel really right. So
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, something kind of feels off here. And then he's like, well, let's go check out the upstairs. And he starts walking up the. I'm scared. I'll let him go first, right? This guy's going. He's a muscular guy. He's like going up the stairs, and then all of a sudden he turns around and he starts screaming, "Run for your life! Run for your life!" And I'm like, oh my god! We ran out the front door. a guy must have been 400 pounds, stark naked with a shower curtain rod, is chasing us down the stairs and into the street. He's just, I'm like, oh, what happened? I got in my car. He got in his car. We both took off. Well, it turns out nobody told the renter. Somebody was coming to look at the house. It's like,
Right.
oh, who got in here? Like, oh man, this guy was screaming. It was a very interesting thing. I never talked to that buyer again. I was just so shaken up by it. But it
Oh,
makes
that
for
is
good
that is
PLA.
hysterical. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know the story we get the most is
Mhm.
when we do these pre-interviews is oh, I
Yeah.
walked in on a couple having sex, and it almost seems like
Right.
every realtor has done that, but I have not heard the
Yeah.
400-pound naked man swinging a curtain rod at you in the
Oh my
streets.
gosh, it was, yeah, that was crazy, but a lot of fun stuff, or right now people, marijuana's legal. You walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, who's Snoop Dogg's pad around here. So, but it's such a fun business. You just need to keep the fun with you. It's easy to get burnt out, right? Get burnt out in the business, contract writing, dealing with appraisers. So I was trying to keep the fun in it, keep it in perspective.
And do you have any suggestions for any agent who's, I mean, you've given a lot of great suggestions already, but
Yeah.
anyone who's newer to the business, who, doesn't, again, we talked about maybe finding a team. We talked about, gosh,
Mhm.
doing some postcards, which are very inexpensive to your sphere of
Yeah.
influence to remind them. But any other suggestions, and somebody who's newer, who is like, how do I go out and grow my business?
Yeah, I mean, if you can tie in what you're doing, your passion
Yeah.
with the business, you're going to do it. So, like I said, if you're bike riding, go join a bike club. If you're cooking, go get there. And then the things that I've come up with, the business cards and postcards, and those are all icebreakers. If you're a shy person and you don't really know how to approach people, well, if you got something funny on a piece of paper, it's a lot easier to hand it. If you want to start, I'm the president of the PTO with the school, that's good too. I'm really involved in there. But think about it from a comedian perspective. You have to build your open mic crowd. You've got to go out there and you've got to have the raving fan base. And it all starts with already what you love to do and the people that are closest to you. You got to go to your parents. I have people whose parents selected a different realtor because they were like, oh man, I didn't keep in touch, what the heck. So get in touch with the people that are closest to you, create that 100-person database. Make sure you
Yeah.
have their addresses. You should be friends with them on Facebook or Instagram or places like that, because people aren't going to call you that don't know you. You
Right.
have to build from an open mic crowd, and they will be your cheerleaders throughout your career. People love to watch people succeed, and especially their friends. They're going to be close. They're going to be your constant sphere that you're going to lean on throughout your career, and you're going to go back to them. Don't lose touch of people that are close to you, because you don't have a pool of 200 sellers or buyers.
Right.
And then when you start out, your business is going to flip at some point. You're going to have 10 buyers and you have 20 and 30. And then in 3 years, you stick with it, go with the long term, you're going to have 30 listings because those buyers were out there. So,
Yeah, my boss is an avid hockey. Well, he plays a number of sports. He's real active, but he's been a hockey
mhm.
player for a long time. And several years ago, he doesn't really practice anymore, and he hasn't for a long time because he kind of runs our business now. But he was saying, he goes, I was just thinking about. He's been playing hockey with the same group of guys for, gosh, I don't know, 15 years now. And he said, I thought
Mhm.
about how many homes I've sold to them. I counted it up because he was like just interested in how many homes he's sold to them.
Mhm.
And he counted 20 homes sold to them in like 10 years. And he said, the funny part is, I never really ever promoted myself. I was just part of the team. He said, I never said, hey,
Yeah,
by the way, guys, if you need help buying or selling a home, I'm your guy, because he's just not that guy. And he
yeah.
was my realtor because he was my friend. He never asked me for business. I just knew he was a realtor, and I knew that he was probably pretty good. And I went with him.
Yeah.
And so for those of you listening that say, gosh, I'm not really into self-promotion. Well, a lot of people
Mhm.
aren't into self-promotion. But as Dan said, look, Dan's head of the PTO. That doesn't necessarily guarantee him business. And it isn't the reason he's head of the PTO, but
Right.
people will naturally, find out what you do just based on your passion and interest. And, I'm sure business comes to you as a result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going to carve their own path. The fact that I tie humor into it, don't be afraid to go out there, Market yourself the truer you are to yourself. This is a person-to-person business. They want to deal with somebody who's not putting up a facade, who doesn't think that they're the luxury agent and only dealing with people, because you don't, well, I'll tell you what, you don't want to work with luxury buyers all the time. You want to work with real people. They're going to move up. They're going to buy a $250,000 house. Then they're going to win the lottery. Then they're going to buy it in Bitcoin. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to go out there and, just constantly have fun with your peers. Don't make enemies with other agents. Stay lighthearted, and the business is going to come. What a great business to be in. What a great time to be in this business. And I know it's hard if you're just starting out, but man, you can do it. Tie your passion into it. You're going to love it.
Oh, that's a perfect place to wrap up this interview with, find your passion, tie it into your business, and have fun with it. And I really, Dan, that is such a great message. So whatever it is you're passionate about, just keep doing it and somehow bring your business into it. And if, for example, if you're somebody who volunteers, invite those 100 people in your sphere of influence for a volunteer event at that organization if you're part of one, or find one that you're passionate about. People love to volunteer, and they typically don't do it themselves, but when they're asked to do it, they oftentimes will. That you were just talking about working with the food pantries and other volunteer opportunities. So yeah, find whatever you're passionate about in life and then tie it in. As Dan's is comedy and giving back and service, and of course that's really working for him as well. So we want to thank Dan for being on the show. I want to remind everyone to visit Dan's website, which is thefunnyagent.com, and there you can also download his ebook, which is called Laugh Your Way to Six Figures. And Dan, on behalf of our audience here, we thank you, our viewers and our listeners. We thank you for being on our show, taking time out of your busy day from running a successful team and your own personal production to share with our audience some tips and strategies for growing their business. And for everyone out there listening, by the way, if you are an agent, maybe looking to join a team, certainly you could check out Dan's team, but maybe you're a buyer, a seller, a renter, an investor who is in the Ann Arbor or Detroit area who's interested in working with a top real estate team like Dan's. What's the best way they should reach out to you?
Yeah, they should reach out. The Spotlight Home Team, Dan at the Spotlight Home Team. They can find me there. My phone is always on. They can call me. Just don't send me a fax, man. I'm not going to check that, right?
It's amazing. We still get a few. We have 700 agents at our company. We still get a few faxes a day, and I'm like, who are these people? Who is sending these faxes? What's the best phone number someone should reach you at, Dad?
Best phone number is 734-730-7061. And check out that ebook. Thanks so much. I got funny articles on there, like the Onion style. I'll tell you how to stage vacant land if you want to. I'm creating a diaper. I got a diaper for realtor called Open Houses. So I'd like to really promote that other business. No.
I love that. Dan's website, The Funny Agent, is great. Definitely check out his blog, download his ebook. And on behalf of Dan and myself, to our audience, to our listeners and viewers, we want to thank you for continuing to listen, watch, support our show. The best way you can help us grow is to tell a friend. So just think of one other agent in the industry that could benefit from having heard this great interview with Dan, and send them a link to our show. The best way to do that, there's two easy ways to. Number one, ask your friend to pull up a podcast app, do a search for Keeping It Real. We'll pop up. If they're not a podcast person, send them to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. We have every episode we've done there. You can stream it right from the website. You don't need a podcast app. And also, please follow us on Facebook. We post every interview we've done in real time. We also broadcast them live as we're recording them. And also, we find an article every single day online that's written specifically designed to help you guys grow your business, and we post it. And that is all we post there, and a few funny memes here and there. Other than that, it's just good information to help you grow. So find us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Keeping It Real Pod. Dan, thank you so much for being on the show. This was such a fun time. I appreciate it. And we realized I've probably seen you, so I'm not going to say it was nice to meet you. It's nice to see you again, because I probably saw you at Zany's back with Mitch Hedberg just 10 years ago or so. But thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And for all of our viewers and listeners, we will see you next time. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.